welcome to another segment of Ask Elle, where I feature your nurse and healthcare consulting questions to really help bring clarity to how you launch, operate, and scale your healthcare consulting firm. So this week I'm going to be featuring a question from a member of our Nurse Consultant Mastermind group on Facebook, and her name is Markuail. So Markuail is a new nurse consultant, and she asks, how do I determine my pricing? So everyone wants to know how much they should charge their clientele. Well, Markuail, there are going to be a lot of different factors that you will need to consider. So there is no straightforward cookie cutter answer to that question, simply because we all service a different type of clientele who have different problems at different magnitudes. And so when you're thinking about how you're going to determine your pricing for your ideal client, you'll really have to first start off by considering if you want to charge by the hour for the projects that you're going to be working on, or if you want to charge by the value that you bring to the overall project. So there comes a lot of math and calculations that you'll have to put behind it. So for example, if I know specifically the problem that I'm addressing and how much it's costing my clientele, I can tell them, hey, you're losing this much amount of revenue by not solving this problem. And so by addressing that concern, I can also show them how much they're going to be saving, and then in return, how much they're going to be making. If I'm going to help them increase their overall revenue, then I myself charge a percentage of that overall ROI that they're going to obtain by working with me. And so you'll have to consider that as a factor. Again, how you're going to charge, by the hour or by the value that you bring to the project. And also some things you want to consider is what does that project look like? What's the scope of that work? What are you going to be doing specifically for that client? And what does all of that entail? So that means you're going to have a conversation with your ideal client to really understand the problems that they're dealing with, what they've done in the past, what hasn't worked. So you'll know exactly how much time you have to dedicate to this project. And something else you want to think about when you're working on a very large project is, are you going to be doing this by yourself, or will you have to bring on a team to help you, divide and conquer? And so when you think about, the scope of the project, if you have to bring a team along to help you fulfill all of the requirements to get the outcomes that the client is expecting, how much hours of work does that entail? Will you be traveling? And, something else you need to consider when you're thinking about your overall price is, how urgent does this client, need to have this challenge be addressed by you as the external consultant? I know many a times I will, tell clientele and tell leads who I'm prospecting to be proactive. You don't want to let a problem turn into a crisis, because at that point, when you contact me as the external consultant, my rates are going to go up because you should have been proactive. But a lot of times you'll find that organizations will wait to the very last minute to reach out to a consultant for help. And so that's something that you should also consider when it comes to your consulting fees and your hourly rates. So those are all some things you want to think about. So, unfortunately, Markuail, there is no straightforward answer to you should charge this specific amount of money for your clientele, because every single scenario and every single client is different. In the book that I'm going to be releasing shortly, The Power of Expertise, there is a chapter dedicated solely to your consulting fees and how you calculate that out based on the number of different factors that I shared with you, and then more. So, Markuail, I hope that gives you some insight on all the things that you need to think about and consider when you're determining your prices. And it's good to have an idea of what the market looks like, but just know that until you have a conversation with your ideal client and you really understand the needs, you really understand the project and how much time that you have to complete that particular job, then you'll know exactly how much you need to charge. And anyone else who has questions in regards to pricing, again, I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Moving forward, if you do want your question featured on the show, feel free to drop your question in the comments. If you're on YouTube watching the video, just put in hashtag #AskElle. And also, if you're a member of the Nurse Consultant Mastermind group on Facebook, you can also submit your question there. Just put in the hashtag #AskElle. I hope you all have a very prosperous day. I'll chat with you in the next segment. Did you find that video informative? Well, I've created some amazing resources for healthcare professionals just like you who know your worth and you're ready to be compensated for your expertise. So head over to thenurseconsultantnetwork.com and learn about the many resources to start your consulting practice inside of the Healthcare Consultant Academy. I'll see you in the next video.